Welcome everyone to another of In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, CEO of academia.edu, and I'm really excited that you're joining me for a kind of unique deep dive today. We're exploring a paper by David G. Little, yeah, that's the author's name, and as always, my goal is to neutrally present his work, not to promote it, so you can consider for yourself what resonates or, well, doesn't. Today's episode might sound a little more mystical than what you're used to from this show. The paper is called Midnight 27, Awakening the Letters, 12-Strand DNA, and the SIDDHI Lineage. And just let me say at the top, this is one of those pieces that merges spirituality, yogic practices, and some pretty ambitious ideas about what it means to be human and connected to the cosmos. My job is to lay out what the paper claims and, what that might offer you as food for thought, not to endorse or dismiss it outright. So what is the core question at the heart of this scroll, or, well, paper? David G. Little is tackling the idea of awakening or activating 12-strand DNA through yogic traditions and a lineage he calls the SIDDHI lineage. The big problem he gestures toward is, essentially, are we living with a limited sense of who and what we are, both biologically and consciously? And can spiritual practices or certain ceremonial sequences unlock what he sees as underutilized energetic or even genetic potential? Why does this matter? Well, if you take the thesis on its face, it's kind of a challenge to mainstream science and even mainstream spirituality. It's a call to reconsider the boundaries between the two and maybe to re-envision our roles as participants in a bigger cosmic story. For listeners, the significance is about possibilities. What if there are more layers to being human than we typically accept? Whether you're skeptical or curious, that question alone opens up some fascinating lines of inquiry. Let's get into what the paper actually says. Little's framework is elaborate. It's divided into capsules and a ceremonial progression. There's a triple manifesto ignition chamber, which, yeah, that sounds wild, but it's his way of combining advanced astrophysics, yogic astral engineering, and this thing called the Kriya Manifesto. That's meant to spark what he calls a Kriya Yuga Renaissance, so a new era of spiritual practice with a scientific or, I guess, semi-scientific lens. He also lays out what he calls flame capsules. Each one is a theme. There's the forbidden equation, science without God, which suggests mainstream science is missing the spiritual ingredient. Another capsule introduces the Kundalini Ride Protocol, KRP, a kind of ignition system for energy within the body, which supposedly science hasn't named or recognized. He talks about dream state propulsion, almost like using dreams and out-of-body experiences as a kind of astral travel. There's also the idea of awakening the letters, meaning our DNA, our astral body, and the so-called causal counterpart, three bodies that are activated through practices and ceremony. One thing that stood out to me is this ceremonial feel. Little keeps coming back to geometric sequences, flame imagery, planetary declarations. He even describes chanting mantras, aligning with cosmic timelines, and invoking a guru trident for stability. Does that sound practical? Maybe not for everyone, but it's a really poetic, almost ritualistic approach. Now, in terms of methods, Little isn't running experiments in a lab. This is more of what you'd call autoethnography, combined with esoteric doctrine and metaphor. Tangibly, he's advocating for a combination of recitation, visualization, breath work, and, frankly, a reframing of your whole inner world, seeing yourself as a node in a cosmic transmission. Is it provable? Not in the mainstream sense, but as a tool for self-reflection or even, inspiration. There could be something for some listeners here. What does this mean for you? Well, if you're someone who's felt boxed in by either pure science or pure spirituality, this scroll offers a hybrid perspective. It's not something you have to agree with, obviously, and hey, I'm not promoting the methods or the claims. I guess I'm just saying maybe there's value in thinking about the metaphors we live by and the ceremonies we create to give our lives meaning and structure. Even for the hyper-rational, considering alternative models can help you clarify your own boundaries and beliefs. Quick digression, this bit about DNA reminded me of those sci-fi movies where some ancient code gets unlocked and suddenly humans have superpowers, totally unrelated, but sometimes pop culture gets closer to academic speculation than we think. Anyway, So wrapping up, David G. Little's paper is part cosmic ritual, part yogic blueprint, and maybe part thought experiment. Whether you resonate with his claims or remain entirely skeptical, the broader message is you're invited to reconsider what's possible, to look at science and spirituality as perhaps partners in the dance of meaning making. You don't have to take anything as absolute truth. In fact, academic work, especially in these liminal spaces, is meant to provoke questions, not finalize answers. Thanks so much for joining me on In Depth with Academia. If you have thoughts, reactions, or your own wild theories, send them my way. Remember, I'm just here to present the research so you can respectfully explore and decide for yourself. Stay curious, stay